Quiet on set!
And action.
We got multiple rom-coms, a music family drama, a concert film, a crime romance, and however you describe the latest Boots Riley film. Kevin, give me the list of all the films we're talking about today.
We're talking about Power Ballad, we're talking about Finding Emily, we're talking about Hit Me Hard and Soft, the Billie Eilish film, not like actually Hit Me Please, Caroline and Caroline, we got Tuner, and we got I Love Boosters.
Then we also got to talk about the hot waters that A24 got themselves into with this latest AI deal. Let's actually talk about that straight away, Kevin. A24 announced that they're collaborating and taking an investment of $75 million. Did I see that correctly? $75 million? That seems
I think
like
so, yeah.
That seems like not that much in the scheme of, the sort of money that's being thrown around with this whole AI thing. But from Google's DeepMind, and it's been sort of in discussion now, like even the latest film that they picked up from Sundance, The Invite, is apparently like getting sort of boycotted, and people are constantly commenting around that, which is a pity because I've heard only great things about that film and has nothing to do with that. Like they just acquired the film. It would be like a bad thing if that actually like ends up reflecting back on this film and like on that reception. But it is sort of an ongoing process that the sort of tech companies are taking over the influence when it comes to like the film distribution as well. Like we've just seen it with Artificial, the problem of that movie. Week removed, we still do not have a distributor that's willing to pick it up just yet. So that's still a big question mark. And here, the justification from A24 is basically that they'd rather have a seat at the table instead of on the sidelines. I get the sentiment from a company standpoint, but then I also feel like, well, because you are taking a seat at the table, you are legitimizing that this is like, there is a table to begin with, that like we need to have this influence and how much it influences it. Like it's a double-edged sword. I don't think you have that much say about like where the direction of this thing is going. Ultimately, I feel like it is serving the benefit of like cost cutting at the end of the day. Money and power goes to the top while you cut out the bottom more and more and more. I feel like the allegory of you're building a house, but you're constantly getting rid of the floors. At the end of the day, at the end, you got like a top floor that's like floating, and that ultimately crashes down as well because you got rid of the whole basis that ultimately like makes movies like the reason we go out to see them, right? If there's not that inherent humanity that is sort of the foundation of it all. There's also with Scorsese, like the criticism of him, like saying that he's now part of like an AI company as well, like an advisor role. I think he's taking on for storyboarding and the reactions out of that. Like I feel like for the next couple of years there will be AI, and generative AI specifically will have like a lot of discussions around that, as we should, because we shouldn't lose sight of it. But what do you think about like A24's collaboration with DeepMind?
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't actually dive that much into this. I just saw the news and I saw the Discord and people clowning on it. But in my opinion, I sort of was thinking, like, what if this is actually not really an investment, but more like sponsorship money? You know, like 75 million is like a lot for A24. They're not that big of a studio. Yes, they have made a shit ton of money now with Backrooms, but that is very much a rarity. They don't make that much money. That's why all their stuff in the merch store is fucking expensive. Have you ever seen that merch store of A24? It's fucking nuts. You have all of these AI companies and they're like, hey, we want to invest in you. Like, we want to, like use your brand to connect with ours. So in that regard, I do feel like it's a little bit more of a sponsorship money. They have said in themselves. It's like, we'd rather just, hear what's like around the discourse of DeepMind. Like, hey, what can we use? What can we not use? And in the end of the day, I don't really, it's a staple nowadays, right? It's the regular thing to do. Do I hate A24 now more than ever because of this? I'm gonna be honest, not really.
Well, I think what comes out of this is a bit more, because I don't know how aware. I think we talked about it before. I definitely talked about it with Lachlan, that like the investment behind A24 is not like some independent thing where like, they come from sort of not the background of, hey, we are this like artist first type of thing. They
Yeah.
have established that reputation, but they're not at the basis of that. It's not really that, and also the way that they make money with that store. Knowing like personally from my like professional experience work wise working with distribution here in Switzerland, is that when there's an A24 produced film, their asking price to distribute it internationally is very high. It's the reason why sometimes we don't get A24 films here, even though they're like very anticipated by a certain select like few people here who would be interested, but the asking price sometimes makes it so we don't get them here. So I'm a bit like I've had them on the kicker for a while where I'm like I don't really love all the stuff that they're doing, especially because they feel like the type of company who's also like really happy to be making so much money at the moment, which is fine, you know, as a company, whatever. But they also know their audience, which is a younger audience, and that they wouldn't fuck with this because like the pushback on AI has been getting louder and louder, especially from that demographic, and the way that they're responding to it like feels like they're this sort of like risk lessen the blow, lessen the impact with the language that they use. So it's interesting to see like how this will affect them. I don't think it will in a big way, but it's also interesting, you know, with Kane Parsons being so outspoken about never wanting to use generative AI, and now you got a company who sort of wants to use it on some level, or is at least looking at you know, at doing that. I just wish the tech companies would have less influence and less involvement in all of this like creative space. It is a bit annoying.
But if it's optional to filmmakers, if they don't, you know, shove it down their throat, you know, that's fine too. I mean, that's a great decision. If it's like, hey, just so you know, it's there. If you have to use it, it's probably DeepMind. You don't have to like go to any of the others. This is the one that we use, and that's why I think it's sort of like sponsorship money. Like, you know, if you're sponsored by Red Bull, you're gonna have to drink Red Bull. You can't drink Monster. So that's also what I feel like this deal is sort of like.
Yeah, I mean, also Google's on that verge of, because they have such a large company to back it, that they are like not unlikely the ones that come out on top at the end of all of this like AI US based like
I
sort
hope
of
it.
warfare that's
Don't get me
happening.
wrong. I hope that bubble pops sooner than later.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, it's going to be a turbulent couple of next years, but what we'll always have, Kevin, is good music. You know, that reunites us all.
specifically from
From
John Carney.
John Carney, yeah, and I was about to say Nick Jonas, my famous favorite
Oh,
musician.
no.
Not really.
Literally, the only song I like from Nick Jonas is the one that he
Jealous?
sings in Camp Rock 1 or 2,
Oh,
where he is sort of serenading this girl, and that's the only song I like.
hmm
That's so fucking
I
niche.
think when I listened to Jealous a couple of years back, that got a few like listens out of me, and then I re-listened to
I
it.
have no clue what that song
I
is.
still get jealous, or something like that. Like he goes really high in that. Like his. Anyways, let's talk about Power Ballad.
When Rick, a past his prime wedding singer, meets fading boy band star Danny during a gig, the two bond over music and a late night jam session. But when Danny turns one of Rick's songs into the hit that reignites his career, Rick sets out to reclaim the recognition he believes he deserves, even if it means risking everything he cares about. Look, man, it's the latest John Carney movie. You'll know him from Sing Street, Flora and Son, Begin Again, Once. I mean, he has done so many movies about music to the point that I was like, has he done any movies that's not about about music? And it's like, yeah, it turns out there's one called On the Edge with Killian Murphy. So it's like, oh shit, I'm gonna watch that sooner rather than later as well. This one starring Paul Rudd, Nick Jonas, Peter McDonald, Rory Keenan, Paul Reed, a lot of Havana Rose Liu, who is the not the only movie she stars in this episode. Ewan, what did you think about Power Ballad?
When we talked about our most anticipated films of the year, I think this was my number 6, I believe. Like it was very high up. I know for you it was pretty high up as well. I was looking forward to it for a while. Because something about Flora and Son, even though unfortunately that was only a Apple TV Plus release, it didn't get the theatrical release. It worked really well on me, and it was like we listened to those songs like months after still, and it's sort of like we'll talk about it more specifically. The song that came out of this that we like the most. But I've been listening to that song literally just before we started recording today again. It's a really great tune, and I think what he sort of is great at doing is, but specifically with this movie, is you have a center theme, and that theme might be sort of apparent if you look for it, but not really like literally apparent. Apparent. But like it's not that obvious from the get go of maybe what it wants to be about, and for a while it feels like it's drifting a bit, and then there's a moment where it clicks, and we'll talk about it more specifically, I guess, when we talk about, because I do want to talk about a little bit of spoilers for this one. But I like a moment hit, and I just like burst out crying, like poof, like this came out of me, because it was like emotionally so resonant with my own lived experience of something specific that I'll tell you about in a bit as well. But he was like getting that moment just right, and it was really impressive. I think that really moved me, and then I think the movie otherwise is like, it's hitting the boxes. It's nothing too crazy, and it's nothing like where it goes that deep in the characterization. I think it stays sort of in this broad, vague appeal that you can really easily, in specific moments for me, like really see something about my own life reflected back in it, and like I was just really touched by it, and I knew he was capable of doing that. It still took me a bit by surprise. I also love that he takes back Jack, like Rayner is in this again in another little role, just as the label guy here. But yeah, Kevin, what did you think?
I quite like this movie. I wasn't fully on board with it in the beginning because I was like, Paul Rudd sort of feels like a mismatch in the beginning. Like, sure, I really like the opening song of the movie, like Finishing Line. That's the particular one that I have been listening to, as well as the main movie song of the movie. But I was a little bit iffy on Paul Rudd in the beginning. I didn't really know about this. But then as the movie went on, really started winning, like, growing on me. Nick Jonas is quite an interesting character because he sort of is like a monster in this movie in terms of, you know, his presence is there and then he's sort of left out of the movie, but more as, like a larger cloud that's sort of chasing Paul Rudd. And in that regard, like, that type of, monster movie esque type character and storyline. But I will agree with you, the characterization is not that deep, but the themes that the movie is raising, as I was thinking more and more about the film, are quite interesting. It's talking about copyright and, especially in the time where we live in, AI, in, like, oh, hey, we're sampling stuff from each other. Then, what is the line of, something sounding the same? When can you own, like, and claim authorship of your particular song? I think that is a theme that works really well in this movie. Then you have, on the one side, the characterization side. So I do wish that Nick Jonas would have had one more scene in there. So the song releases. I'm keeping it vague. The song releases, and it becomes a huge hit. Like, his stardom goes to such a high that he even breaks up with his girlfriend, which is sort of crazy because there's a scene early in the film where, you think the two have just connected for the first time. And I think the toll of Nick Jonas' like guiltiness of, stealing the song from Paul Rudd would have been better with one more scene
Yeah.
with Havana Rose Liu talking about, like, because he be talking to it about somebody, and apart from Jack Rayner. And I think, having a sort of confession scene with Havana Rose Liu would have made the movie a bit better.
Yeah, because it does stay rather lighthearted, and then it has the deep emotional like moments. I think this movie, like, it's 100 minutes long. I think this movie could easily go to 110, even 2 hours, and go deeper into the characters. But
Yep.
I think that's maybe not what John Carney is interested here, and I don't know
No,
if it needs to be that as well.
I mean, he notoriously makes short films. I mean, let me quickly
Mm.
go back to his music films in particular. Sing Street, 105. Begin Again, 104. Flora and Son, 97 minutes. And Once is, I believe, also very short, 85 minutes. So it's one of John Carney's strengths, really, to pack a lot of emotion within a shorter runtime, which is a difficult feat for any director. We should say, like I said in the intro of this episode, um, On the Edge is his only film, 2001 that is not about music. All the other films that he has made, 5 in total, have been about music. And it is tough to keep dabbling in the same genre to sort of make the same movies. Sure, you can have different characters, different themes, but like the core of all of his films are somewhat the same. So um, I have to applaud him. In terms of those 5 movies, he's 5 out of 5. But you know, I don't know how much gas he has left in that creative tank of music. I hope a lot, but like this was one of his first films where I was like, oh, little bit of a downstep, John Carney. But yeah,
I think his movies have so far been like very different setting wise. It's just
but yeah,
ultimately about like these songwriters who maybe don't really see their potential, have to refine their potential. Or it's like, but I think that's sort of the constant creative process in a lot of ways. But I think here more than ever, I don't think he's a father. If I like, I couldn't find that. I don't know if he has kids, but this is
who John
more.
Carney?
Yeah, does he have kids?
I
Like,
don't know.
I just quickly googled it and I didn't see that he had. But this feels more like a sort of dad movie. I think Paul Rudd has kids, right?
I think he has 2. He had 2 children.
Ah, okay. Well, then, because I'm wondering, hey, could you in one way read this as a bit more of a like the sort of allegory of here making music for who in
Mm-hmm.
particular, being away, prioritizing this over that, if that's like the director's way of
Oh, yeah.
having something personal in there. Like, obviously, you don't go for like a one-to-one thing, but something that resonates because it resonated with me on a different level, not being a dad, but being the kid in this equation. So I was wondering, like, because also Paul Rudd has children too, and I don't know. You can feel that it was like similar to completely out of left field when you have Alzheimer's, dementia with tangles, and the people who signed on to that project, the animated movie, that were that are big stars for a like debut feature film for the director, a smaller film, but they resonate with a theme that they know, a personal experience with that like sickness. And here it's also something when you can feel that like someone has that experience of music or being away, like that sort of thing is probably pretty relatable to someone like Paul Rudd or potentially even John Carney. And something about it I do feel where like the pop star character is one that is like the less important one. He is like the catalyst for the story,
Yeah.
not but it's nice that he also takes something away from it, but he's not asking a lot of Nick Jonas apart from
No.
being very charming when they first meet at that gig and sort of work on that song together, and then it releases later on, right? But there's been a lot of processing that has been done to that song. And do you want to talk about spoilers for this one real quick? We can
Yeah.
say it's out on VOD. Go check it out if you like any of John Carney's films. I think you'll have a great time. I'm a bit surprised how like bad the reception has been. I'm not as surprised that the movie isn't doing well because I don't know how much Sing Street really became popular after it like came out digitally
Yeah.
or on
Very
the,
much grew on as time went on. Yeah.
and we didn't have one with Flora and Son. We had no gauge of like how big that movie was, but it didn't feel like it left like a much of an impact. I think that is very much still an underrated film. So even though there's Paul Rudd in it and Nick Jonas, yeah, I'm not surprised that I guess it didn't do that
Do
well
you
and they
want
put it out on.
Do you want to take a quick look at the logs? So let's go through it chronologically, right? We have Ones, 193K on Letterbox. Begin Again, 437K logs, so a bit more. Then Sing Street has the most with 480K. Then we got Flora and Son, which has 39K. and now we have Power Ballad, which has 38K. So Power Ballad is almost tied with
But how much is
Floor
Floor
and
and Son?
Sun. Floor and Sun is not even 40K, 39K.
What?
Like really underwatched, yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah,
Which
that
is
is
which
pretty
is
crazy.
indeed crazy because it feels like his movies are like they're generally lighthearted, very good movies. Like you'd think those appeal to a broader audience, but I guess they haven't catched on, at least those last ones.
Yeah. I guess it's also Apple TV Plus, who not a lot of people have apart from watching
Yeah.
Severance or something like that. But spoilers. We go from a jam session where the movie, where Paul Rudd sort of shares the state of like a song he's been working on for a while. Late into the night, they tinker on it, and then
A lot of
Nick
booze.
lot of booze, and he does take it, turn it into a pop song. And then half a year later, he hears it when he like runs around in that mall, trying to figure out where it's coming from. Then the movie is sort of for quite a while. It is like progressing in these time jumps as well for a little bit, where we show where Paul Rudd is at and what he's feeling like, and it's not great. And I think the movie doesn't go that deep into like the lost possibility of like what could have been, but I really liked that it's then centered around a friendship with one of his bandmates that's sort of been around the whole time. And I think that was, to me, like I really really loved that relationship between those two as well.
Yeah.
How he just like Sandy, I think is his name. It's just like multiple times I was just like I was saying aw, or like I was like fuck yeah. I was really happy that their sort of honest friendship was sort of something that could anchor them. And the movie then is making a point that Nick Jonas misunderstands the moment where he goes where
Yeah.
Paul Rudd tells him like you know why, like you still haven't understood that it's not a love song. And I was like, fuck yeah, damn, that is such a good moment. Like I thought that was like a really really great moment. I was like, wait, what? Because I was like, okay, I can see what he's doing here. That is something personal that he wrote about. But because I think for like the first half of the film, I did struggle with the teenage kid a bit, because she was
Mm-hmm.
she was so on edge to sort of be disinterested, which felt like, yeah, no, probably really realistic, but it was a bit
Yeah.
frustrating because he was trying and I was rooting for him to sort of get like. And I get the wife character, what her feelings were. But with the kid, I just wanted them to connect. Found it incredibly beautiful when she realizes what the song is about. It was really really nice. But yeah, what do you think?
Well, it is a love song, but it's that the difference is romantic love and unconditional love, and those are two different separate things. Those are two different things, and John Carney knows how to end a movie. I will say though, indeed, like you, I wasn't like fully on board, but then it really feels like he just brings up the sledgehammer and just knocks you out. And
Yeah,
that's really how I felt watching Power Ballad, because I
yeah.
have watched the ending specifically like a few times as well. I will say though, that desktop at the end where she's going to horrible organization. What the fuck is that, bro?
He's a
It's like three
musician.
pictures and it's like they're floating around, they're not even straight, which to me feels so fucking weird being on like Windows and PC. Like those files like out of order. Like what? How did they even? I was so upset with it. But yeah, the ending's just absolutely knockout ending.
Yeah, I feel like it's really self-referential fourth wall break here for the podcast. I feel like I haven't done a great job reviewing this movie because I'm literally on my tiptoes about it, because I
Yeah.
had such an emotional response to like one specific thing that like I feel myself, if I talk about it in a specific way, I'll like I'll cry again.
Hey, you can go ahead, bro. I got you.
Oh god. But I think I realized with this movie that I'm someone who easily cries at things if I'm moved, right? And I figured out today, if I figured out watching this film what it is that gets me basically every time. And we have literally another movie where the whole today that we're talking about, where that is the whole theme in Blue Heron of like figuring out. So the thing is, when a kid, even when they're a kid or maybe later in life, realizes what their parent has gone through or what their feelings were, and sort of it's a moment of growth and understanding your parent in a way. It's like really vague, but like these moments, like basically After Sun, that's the whole movie. That's literally the whole movie. So
One
I'm
of
in
your faves.
tears the whole fucking time throughout After Sun. Like I legit did a rewatch where like I was crying the entire time. I've done that. So yeah. And then for this film specifically, the moment where she sort of realizes, oh, the song, first of all, like, yes, he did write it. It's not like he has this illusion that, oh, this guy stole my song and it's like my dad being cringe. It's like, no, it's literally there.
You got it, bro. You got it.
Gotta take a moment.
Take a deep breath. See, bro, you're gonna make me cry now. You know the stereotypical thing of like, if a man cries in front of you, then it's literally in like the fucking movie
God.
as well.
No, but at her birthday, that sort of thing. And I'm just doing it real quick so I get through it. And it reminded me, specifically when I was a kid, my dad used to play the guitar as I was playing with toys, and he came up with these improvised songs. It's like a very cherished memory by me. Oh my god. And I felt it's laughable, the pauses that I'm making. Oh my god. Yeah, and I just felt myself really seen in that moment by that character, knowing something about how my dad creatively expressed himself while caring about me. And that, oof. Okay. That's what I wanted to say. Whew. Sorry.
You got to it, man. You got to it.
Yeah. Oh my god. It's not great if it's like already 30 plus degrees to be crying, because then you're like trying to hold it in, and now I'm just red and crying and everything. But yeah, that's something about this film that really really works. That I think there's another movie called Renoir, where like the whole premise is that this girl is going through like, as her dad is in with an like basically incurable illness. He's in hospital and he's about to pass, and she sort of goes around and has these encounters with a bunch of, like, she's behaving in a weird way, which she's like, it just goes around, but like there's not much that happens in that film, but it sort of captures a feeling really well, like, to be at that age, to be sort of lost, to feel more adult than you are. Having gone through that, maybe I should have given the context a bit more, but my dad passed away when I was 9. So like I have these memories when I was like 5 or 6. Like there was another one that came to mind where I don't know which movie we watched, but in like 2005 or 6, we did go see a movie and no one else was in the theater. And I remember that being like one of the most exciting things, that I get to spend time with him, but also be in like a theater by myself. And like the guy who I think he's still partly running the theater to this day, he was like a really, like always a really charming guy who was like doing an introduction to like, okay, we'll start the movie. Like he was like very jolly. Now working in a cinema, it's kind of annoying if there's only like one person in the theater. It's really like, why are you showing? We could save the electricity, and it rarely happens, but it does happen. Especially like now during summertime, I did have an evening where like no one showed up actually at our theater. The way that he was so outwardly like that guy in this cinema, also like, yeah, he didn't mind that it was only the two of us. It's just a very happy memory to look back on, as well as like this sort of guitar and play type thing where the way that Paul Rudd says that stuff as well to him, like in that moment, it's like, oh, you don't get what it's about. It really, really worked. And then pairing it with the daughter realizing, it just makes this movie incredibly beautiful, when I think otherwise it's pretty basic, for being honest. It just gets a couple of moments so right that yeah, I'm not like, oh, this is not one of my favorite movies of this year. Like rating wise, I'm at a 3.5 out of 5 for this one. But I think like those couple of moments are like, to me, like, ooh, something I deeply resonate with. In a movie otherwise that I think is one of John Carney's weaker ones, but it has some of his best moments, if that makes sense.
But yeah, but that's why. So this movie was on my number 4 of most anticipated, and it's because I know he has a certain consistent quality to his movies, and like I said before, I don't think that's ever gonna drop. I hope there's a lot of gas left in the tank. Quickly wanted to mention one moment in particular as well in the movie, and that is when Nick Jonas and Paul Rudd are jamming, and he is like, with music, you have to appeal to the kids, but you also have to approve it for the parents, so the parents can allow the kids to listen to it.
Yeah.
And with Sean Carney and Paul Rudd, they probably relate to that as well. Even I related to it a little bit watching Billie Eilish Hard and Soft. Like some of these songs and these lyrics, I'm like,
ooh, the kids that are singing along to this, it's right on the edge. I was like, ooh.
yeah, it's like I don't know about this.
Well, I love when they all sing along to Guess. that's the raunchiest one. That's the one with Charlie XCX.
Oh
I like to
yeah,
guess
yeah.
the color of your underwear.
Can you tell I don't know any Billie Eilish
Ah,
songs?
no, you gotta listen to more Billie Eilish. She's got some greats. I mean, you did, I guess. Now listen to like some of her hits, some of her best songs.
Yeah. I gave this a 3.5 out of 5. Honestly, I'm leaning a bit more towards 7.5 out of 10. I will say, like, it's a
Yeah,
very solid
me too.
movie, and everybody can go watch a John Carney film. Like, that's the thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some movies we can't. Like, I can't recommend Resurrection to anybody in my fucking group. Like that's way too fucking niche. But any John Carney movie, I can recommend to anybody, and that's like probably his greatest strength.
I gotta say, like the best song for me out of this was because they on the like playlist for this movie, they do have the two versions of How to Write a Song Without You. And
Yeah.
I really like Paul Rudd's version. It is still like on the level of like a song made for a movie type album. I don't think it's at the level like I think you Meet Me in the Middle from Flora and Son is like one. I haven't listened to it in a while, but that one is really really good outside of the movie. I think this is just on the line of like I like the movie a lot. I like the moment. I like all of that what it represents, so I like listening to it. I don't know if like I would independently listen to the song as much as I did just now. And they do have the Nick Jonas version, which I gotta say, like, I was one other reason where maybe I'm like, ooh, deducting half a point of it is that his version of the song is not number one song in my opinion. It's just not good enough. It's just like too sort of bland. But I guess we've had some pretty bland songs land at number one, so that's not a hindrance.
It is kind of crazy to me that his last like two movies, so like Florence Song didn't get a best song nomination. Sing Street didn't get a best song nomination. Like only Begin Again has, if I recall correctly.
Sorry, is Florence Son maybe because it's only digital? Could that be that it's not eligible?
Oh, maybe, but again, like you would think.
But yeah, no, not with those amount of logs on Letterboxd and it wasn't enough to get there.
Yeah, but also with the three cities and how easy it is to get something in the Oscar conversation. And once won the best song category. So yeah.
Maybe you should partner up with like his next movie should be like the Diane Warren power ballad. Diane Warren presents. He writes songs.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Caroline.
A young woman, desperate to leave her small town, runs away with a charming con man, embarking on a crime and passion-filled journey through the southeast to find her estranged mother. Directed by Adam Rammeyer, who you mostly will know for Snack Shack, but has also done Dinner in America, starring Kyle Gallner. This movie also starring Kyle Gallner, Samara Weaving, Kyra Sedgwick, so three very prominent actors, but it's very much all about Samara Weaving and Kyle Gallner, two very much horror icons teaming up in what is a crime romance movie. Ewan, give me your thoughts on this one.
I mean, Samara Weaving, I really like in the way that she takes these roles that have her in the lead, and she has multiple movies coming out this year, right, where she's the lead in it as well, which I think is just quite impressive. I don't know if she's like the way that she's pulling together her catalog. Unfortunately, I do like that she's the lead in it. I think the movies that she's in are rather forgettable though, and not that I didn't like this film, but it's just a bit like to me yet another movie gig and not something where like, ooh, here's another Samara Weaving film where it's really exciting where she goes on like a character level or like a performance level. I think here it's like I know what she can do, I know what she's great at. They use that, and then it's just sort of that aesthetic. But I felt myself a bit tuning out for this film because it's like basically like small town girl gets picked up by this con artist and they go on a billion Clyde type of run. And that's the movie. I think that's sort of the whole
Billy and
movie.
Clyde?
Wait, what's his name? Bonnie
What?
and Clyde.
I'm sorry,
I'm
Billy and
thinking
Clyde.
I'm already at Billie Eilish. I'm sorry. Billy and Phineas type of ride where they say that like someone doesn't come out to a solo show and then he shows up anyways, type of thing. No, and the scheme, like they have the one scheme of like the return money type thing, which I was paying so close attention, and I think I still don't get it. I'm just too dumb for it.
Me too. I felt so dumb.
I don't understand. Like they totally would have gotten me. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is happening. And then they rob banks as well. And then obviously, like, you know, you build and build and build to something where like at some point something's gotta go wrong. So it's like expected where it goes, and then it's just like, okay, does this movie shine? Is it the spectacle? Is it the characters? Is it the vibe? And I couldn't really tell you. I just sort of like the scheminess of it all. I think there's something really cinematic about it, where like that magic trickness, and the coolness of just like tricking someone is something that is a spectacle in itself. But it couldn't really hold up for the whole runtime for me. Like I did feel myself like I was hoping for a bit more for this one. But what did you think?
Caroline and Caroline very much remind me of Emily the Criminal, which was another very solid crime like thriller movie. And this is the same for me. Like these are very like good, well directed, well acted movies. And I'm like, great. And then, you know, I never really talk about them or like even like you said, remember them. But they're always a pleasant surprise when they come across, you know, my radar. Even the director, like Snack Shack was a movie that I really appreciated. I was like, God damn it, these last 20 minutes though, were fucking annoying to me. Like really like tumbled down, but I still gave that 4 stars. So the director has certainly a lot of talent, and I just think unfortunately the screenplay isn't as strong, which is a little bit of a shame because the director hasn't written it, and he has directed Snack Shack. He has written Snack Shack and Dinner in America. I do own Dinner in America. I'll probably watch it also sooner than later. And I've said sooner than later to a lot of movies, but unfortunately, yeah. I would have liked to see him take on the script if he has, you know, because he's uncredited. Maybe he has. I was just like, damn, I just wish there was a little bit more punch to it, because this film is uplifted by the director, but mostly by the 2 leads. I mean, Kyle Garner and Samara Weaving, if they're ever going to do movies in the future again, I would love for them to be, you know, in a horror movie together. I mean, they are 2 horror icons. So, you know, solid movie. Unfortunately, just, you know, I'm not going to remember it probably at the end of this year.
The thing, like, with Samara Weaving is a bit that, like, she is sort of getting roped into this lifestyle by, like, ooh, this exciting outsider. But she is, like, because she is so, I don't know if this is reductive, but because she's so incredibly attractive in a way, it almost feels like, it feels crazy that she's so engulfed and, like, kept by this small town where maybe it's also not just, you know, attractiveness, because that's pretty reducing to say that just about a woman. I meant like the way that she carries herself in every role, even when she's like playing someone who might be like not as much in control, and she does play more characters that are in control, and that she's in a Scream opening that like even there she has a bit of command before she gets murdered. It's just something about it where I always feel like she is not out of her depth, and then the movie becomes very much quickly about like, oh, how talented she is just like naturally at this. She can just like pick it up like that. And there's a disconnect for me here where it starts with that character and where it jumps to pretty quickly, and then where we stay in most of the movie, and the connection she has with her like dad and calling those back. Like those moments never worked for me. They were a bit odd. And also the moment with her mom then in that where she does get to meet her is also like very off because it feels very disconnected from there's no coherent, and I do blame this a bit on the director. I don't think there's a coherent tone throughout this film. I think the tone is in certain moments a bit all over the place.
I think it's screenplay. I honestly think it's screenplay.
You think it's more just a screenplay?
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. The tone is because you, through the screenplay, put him in moments that don't tonally match with each other. It's like, yeah, maybe it's more the screenplay than the director. But there's really a lot of like disconnected bits in this. But
I still recommend it though if you need a good, crime thriller. I mean, again, it just feels a little bit redundant to say this, but you have those Netflix original streaming movies. Like this is the bar above them. Like I would pick this over any of those any day.
Would you wait? Actually, I think you didn't hate The Rip, right? If I remember correctly. Would you recommend this over The Rip?
It depends. If you're looking for a little bit more of a romance thing, then go watch Caroline. If you're looking for, a little bit more of that, macho-ness, because again, like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, like they're a duo that, like Kyle Gallner and Samara Weaving, or Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. To me, it's like, I have to lean with the Oscar winner boys, But
yeah. Would you, if you could, pair this up with something like Hello High Water, or would you say no, just watch Hello High Water and then quit with the bank robbing movies?
No, honestly, watch Caroline and watch Emily the Criminal, and you'll have a solid night. That's what I recommend.
I give this a 3 out of 5, a 6 out of 10. And Kevin, what about you?
I give it a 3.5 out of 5.
But like you said with Snack Shack, I'm looking forward to what the director does next. And with Samara Weaving, it's not like
as well.
Yeah, it's like with Samara Weaving, you don't even have to wait what she does next. She probably has already something on the horizon in the next couple of months that's coming out.
And you know what? I don't think she has. So because she was pregnant, and so she had done like Borderline, Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Caroline, Ready or Not 2, and Over Your Dead Body. And I don't really see any movies so far like that are like at the horizon. She's in like 2 Things Down the Rabbit Hole. I see, and Liz by Adam Leon, a biopic about Americans founding mothers Elizabeth Patterson Bonaparte.
Yeah, I guess she's slowing a bit. I wonder if she's gonna take as many like action horror-esque roles in the future. Now that she's just had a kid, or how long of a break? I mean, she does deserve a break. She can slow down.
She does, but I will say her interviews are always a pleasure to watch.
Yeah. No, I mean, dude, most Australians are really fun to listen to, but her specifically, how open she is, how direct she is, like she can really carry the conversation very lightheartedly. I mean, I've seen a lot of her films. I've seen like half of it. I've seen like 15 of her movies. So,
wait, how many? How many?
15.
I got 7.
Yeah, no, I'm a bit more of a Samara Weaving fiend.
But have you seen Mayhem?
No, that's the one I haven't seen. No.
Oh, you know what? That movie Mayhem, if we're doing recommendations, Mayhem, a young Steven Yeun, and Samara Weaving. I love Mayhem. Adore that movie.
Yeah, and I think the next movie that she's in, one of them, is actually directed by someone who has directed like a couple of episodes of The Walking Dead. Really loose connection here with Steven Yeun and Walking Dead.
Yeah, I love how we keep doing the segue.
Like we're doing this, we're doing that. It doesn't sound right. We're sort of a bit out of tune. Let's call in Leo Woodall. He can start it up for us.
A talented piano tuner's life is turned upside down when he discovers that his meticulous skills for tuning pianos can equally be applied to cracking safes. This movie is directed by Daniel Woher, who directed Navalny, I think Oscar-winning documentary.
I think it might have won. Yeah, and tragically, since then, the Navalny has been killed.
Starring Leo Woodall, Havana Rose Liu. Hey, here she is again, and Dustin Hoffman. Also, Jean Reno pops up in this movie, and it's like, my God, the 2 oldest actors in this fucking movie, like Dustin Hoffman and Jean Reno.
Yeah.
What the fuck? But Ewan, tell me your thoughts on this one.
Well, I was really curious because I got to see it last year in October in Zurich. It did premiere at Telluride, then went to TIFF in September. In October, I got to see it in Zurich, and now it has come out, I think, in theaters very briefly and just in limited release, and has now been available on streaming. So go check it out there. I think we both very much recommend it. I was really curious because there's the relatability for you being hard of hearing, and then like obviously is something very different that he has with like this hyperacusis or something like that, where like he
Mhm.
hears everything like way more, so he has to sort of shield himself from these noises. And I
He's allergic
really
to loud noises.
he's allergic to
That's
loud noises. Yeah,
what he says.
yeah. I really liked the romance in this movie, and sort of especially the lead up to something happening there. It does have certain bits of like the incredibly like talented guy who's been sort of forced off of his path by reasons that he's out of control, that are out of his control, and he's still sort of close to it, but like there's something that's closed off for him, and it's like sort of dealing with that internally. And I think Leo Woodall can really center this performance quite well. I'm quite impressed with his performance in here, and I really enjoyed Dustin Hoffman's presence, bringing this lightheartedness too. But also like his character is a lot of like stuff that he carries himself in a way, but like everything he approaches with a lot of energy, even though in the background he's like keeping a lot of things away that are the stuff that like is hurting. And Leo Woodall's character is someone who's constantly showing some sort of irritation because he's constantly like in sort of some sort of agony, and then it becomes like finding a stasis where he can feel okay. And I think that's like an interesting pairing with the two of them. We don't get that many scenes with the two of them, unfortunately. I think I would have liked even more. We do get enough. I think this is a sort of rather slight movie because it becomes about these heists that you do with the, like, it becomes more a crime movie than it does the romance a bit or a drama, where I think multiple times I wrote down on my rewatch because I did just wanted to like look through certain scenes, and then I started the movie, and then I just didn't stop the movie until it was done. I just watched the whole movie again. I wrote down, I wish this movie stayed a bit smaller. I wish it would sort of like I know like then the whole movie falls apart, but I wish like the cracking safes thing just wasn't in this film. I just wish it was just a drama about like these two meeting. And I know that like it lessens the stakes, but I really like the smaller bits of this way more than I did all of the like the heightened stakes of like needing money quick and then like doing these crimes, and something about the smallness of it really worked for me. But what do you think?
I will agree with you on that the crime stuff in this movie could have been handled a little bit differently. Not much. No, I'm not saying erase it, but perhaps, use it a little bit less. And my suggestion, for example, would be if, he's starting to work with this guy. And my proposal would be that you put a limit on the amount of time that he could crack safes for you. Like they're never really negotiating or having like a contract put down for like his debt, which is like one of the first things that you would do. Sort of like the Baby Driver,
Baby
the
Driver,
amount of
yeah.
time that he has to do it for Kevin Spacey's character in that film. I feel like that would have been perfect in this film. Having that type of contract in this movie, it would have elevated the crime things because it's like, hey, you do have this contract with us. Like, for example, that last job, you have to do this or we'll break your fingers of your girlfriend. Like, that is like, hey, that's a very threatening thing to see. And you have this last job with us. So that's why the stakes would have been higher there. But even though the thing itself is smaller. I will say I hated the two watch thing with John Renault's character at the end. I thought like I knew it was coming, and I don't like it at all. But then the movie sort of earns my forgiveness for doing that stupid thing with a great ending scene once again
That's amazing.
involving
And
a piano. Yeah, it was absolutely wonderful because it's it's like, is he doing this for her? Is he doing this for himself? And in the end, I was like, he's doing that for himself. He isn't even trying to win her back or something. He's just like, he's in the worst fucking state again. Like, he's at the lowest of lows, but, wants to gain that confidence. And the way that he does it, I think is done brilliantly. Yeah, Tuner also reminded me at a few times of Whiplash. And I actually need to quickly see who's the editor of this film. Okay, so he hasn't done Whiplash. 'Cause at certain times I was like, this movie is taking beats from Whiplash, especially in its over editing of things, whether it's music, whether it's the tuning, and yeah, I will say this is a very well acted, very well directed movie. Just quickly, because Leo Woodall and Havana Rose Liu are amazing young actors. I mean, if we're talking about Whiplash, I see I see the same heights in Leo Woodall that I see in a Miles Teller. I must
Hmm.
admit, and I just quickly wanted to see what he has up left. He's in the Tony movie, the Bordeaux movie from Matt Johnson. He's in the Custom of the Countries with a Sydney Sweeney, which is like, oh, I don't know about that. But he has many projects coming up. And then we have Havana Rose Liu, who has a lot of projects coming up. She's in the Elden Ring movie. She is in the Jesse Eisenberg debut movie with Paul Giamatti and Julian Moore, which recently had a trailer. And I was like, I'm all in. So yeah, she has a lot of movies going on, Untitled A24 film and whatnot. So the two leads are very magnetic, and I'm very much looking forward to the project they have in the future.
I think what I really want to see from her is more than sort of. I think the roles that she's been given more often than not are like supporting, but
Yeah.
almost like pushed out of the film. Like even in Power Ballad, that's basically what happens to her.
How
And
about her private hell?
in her private hell, it's another like very supporting performance. I, I know we don't like the private hell. Well, I guess you liked it a bit more than I did. But
Yeah.
I think with Leo Woodall, he's like on a different trajectory where he's a bit more like the lead. Like he had I think they did another mini series of One Day where he was the lead. He was the love interest for Bridget Jones in like the latest film last year. Same goes for Vladimir, which I also watched with Rachel Weisz, like a Netflix show. And then yeah, here in Tuner, like he hasn't done that many movies yet. And I think he's being a bit like, I don't know what his possibilities are, but like he seems to be a bit like selective with what he's doing. And I've been really like liking what
Great
he's
choice.
done so far. Yeah. And I agree with you. I think Havana Rose Leo hasn't been used enough. I think she should get more opportunities where she
I
could
mean,
maybe even be
this
more
was
of
a
a lead.
great opportunity for her. I think.
I know,
Just-
yeah. But I mean, here I think this is so far, yeah, the most that she gets to do is like I don't think in Bottoms it's more than this. So can't remember if in Mayday she has a bit more screen time, but yeah, I didn't like that film.
Dustin Hoffman is also in this film. The great Dustin Hoffman. I will say it does feel like the continuation of his Baumbach film, like the sort of character of a of like a Baumbach film that you insert in Tuner. With Meyerowitz stories. I felt like, oh, they copied that character and put it in Tuner.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does a good job. Dustin Hoffman is a very talented actor. He's been working for how many decades now? I mean, Jesus Christ.
I mean, I really like that moment where he's like forcing them. Like I think the comedy sometimes works quite well where he's like saying, "Oh, it's
It is
just
boomer comedy. It is
yeah."
boomer comedy, but it works.
It's yeah, a little. I wouldn't call it boomer comedy, no.
No, but it's like the old man yelling to the cloud of like, "Oh, you have to carry your books."
Oh, you mean just
No.
like comedy with a boomer in the scene, like sort of?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, I think those sort of moments are quite sweet where he's interacting with the three of them. Yeah, I think it's very solid all around. I think it really like lands with a great ending, and then I really enjoyed when they just had moments between the two. I think the romantic bits that just like speaks to someone like Havana Rose Liu, who can act as she's falling in love, as she has this pressure, but not making it reduce her down to like the love interest of our lead character. It's also not just that she has something that she's going for. That's not it. It's just like it's something in her performance that speaks to the sort of depth of that character. And I think that's not an easy thing to do, especially if you are not given these more lead roles or co-lead roles more often. And that's why I'm like saying like I hope she gets something where she has even more to do and can take like maybe even the lead presence of a film, because she can definitely do it.
Sound design wise, this film also nails a lot of things. With the hard of hearing stuff, it's like, oh, The way that this is sounding is like exactly how sometimes I hear shit, and it's like, no,
Mm.
this is a little bit triggering.
Yeah. I was wondering that. Like, anything else specifically that this movie like sort of gets right or maybe wrong from your own experience?
I guess sort of like the background and foreground noise, the swiping things of something like like that type of things,
Mm-hmm.
were very relatable. And yeah, so the sound design was very good as well. Like this is a very well made film all around. You know how we're talking about Emily the Criminal and Caroline the Caroline, and like this is just a step above it. It's not
Mm-hmm.
Hell or High Water like any of that type, like good for me personally, but I will say it's just above that category. If like like Emily the Criminal and Caroline are like very high B+ movies, then this is like the lower A category. If we're talking American, I don't even fucking use that, but that's just how I made it up in my mind at the moment.
I mean, it is a very American movie, the way that like the proving of like, oh, you got perfect pitch, and then he doesn't just have perfect pitch, but she can play anything, and he calls it like,
Yeah,
I think it's sort of
love that scene.
Americans like, I like to see it as well. For a movie, it works really well. I think it lessens a bit of the characterization because it always sort of insists on people needing to be just like, the tragedy is because he was so good it was taken away. But I think it's more interesting, even if someone is flawed or not perfect, to then like, when it takes away from them something, like to explore that more. But it's less interested in that. It's just the, like, he had something, was at the peak, he could have been the best, and then it was taken from him. And that's a very Americanized version of
Yeah,
this. But yeah, it's fine. I think I like that part even because it like sort of earns it by being cool enough with Leo Woodall's character. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Really enjoyed
me
it.
too.
And we recommend it to you if you haven't seen it already.
So
Give
we're
that
going
movie a
from
boost.
why are you getting ahead of me with the
Oh, you were
segue?
doing it. Sorry.
Nah, it's fine,
Pardon.
it's fine. A fearless crew of inventive young women turn shoplifting into a radical act of defiance. It's the latest by Boots Riley, who had directed Sorry to Bother You and I Am a Virgo movies. I have not watched them unfortunately yet. I do own Sorry to Bother You. It's somewhere there. Starring Kiki Palmer, Naomi Aki, Taylor Page, Demi Moore, Isa Gonzalez, Lakeith Stanfield, Will Poulter, Don Cheadle. The cast is absolutely stacked. Ewan, give me your thoughts on this one.
Did you remember like the impact Sorry to Bother You had? I think it was sort of the thing where like people were probably initially saying like, oh, what the fuck is this movie? And then they really connected with it because it had sort of a core going for it, and it was like, it was a bit memeable too. It had like a couple of like great standout moments, and it centered around like sort of one specific thing though. And it was also, I think, in the same year that Black Klansman came out, I believe, or like shortly around that time. So there was like an upswing of like, yes, like black creators, black directors making really interesting choices for movies. And it's been a while now since the last Boots Riley film. He's done that series I'm a Virgo, which was doing a lot of like practical, so like it made him like
Yeah.
about a guy who's already big, and like the practicalness of it, like really stellar stuff in the production design. And I think in this movie he loses himself a bit in like the costumes and production design, where everything else in this film I'm really not connecting to. I also couldn't give two shits about like fashion. I don't know how much of that is the movie is interested in, because if that's a commentary on that, it feels like pretty on the nose and direct. I think the comedy for me just didn't really land, and then it pairs the comedy with like some really fantastical, like bigger themes of like this creature that like is the cololingus sort of monster that just like eats out your soul when it's eating your pussy. Uh, yes, that's a plot point in this movie. It's another film where I feel like Lakeith Stanfield is underused. I don't know what the fuck is up. Same with Dime I Love, where like I couldn't make sense of that character, and he seems to be integral in the mind of the director in the way that he places it in the story. But in the movie, it doesn't feel like that at all. I like the ensemble cast of Kiki Palmer, Naomi Aki, and Taylor Page. I think Isa Gonzalez is like, I don't know what the fuck she's doing, but like her sort of notes, that the way that she plays it are like very odd. And then like at one point it goes like very over the top, in a very over the top movie already, where like it just has like a machine that can suck and teleport things, and it just goes bonkers in the way that I'm like, not, it's building towards something. It just like, to me, it was very chaotic, but not orchestrated chaos. And I really had a hard time staying in this film. I was quite bored, even though there was a lot to look at, a lot that happened. And I think you kind of felt the same, right? You had a bit of a struggle to get through it.
Bro, I felt the same. And you know what didn't help? The very goofy score. I felt like I was watching fucking SpongeBob or some shit, you know? It's like
Yeah.
there's a little flute in there. It's like the like that type of score was throughout the film. Demi Moore's character is like so over the top, and like I get what she's supposed to be. Like this is a very, leftist film. But we have seen another
Yeah.
film this week that's like extremely fucking right. So like
It makes it a double feature.
Oh my god. I think I did watch those films back to back. I don't know. The filmmaking of I Love Boosters is stellar. Production design, very much, all for that. But it's just, is this film maybe just too much?
It is too much. And I think Sorry to Bother You was also too much, but it was too much in a good way. It was like something that sort of worked for the film, and it was like in chosen moments when, like, I think very similar to this in Sorry to Bother You, there's the horse cock moment where I think that was like one thing that really shocked a bunch of people. And then here there's a moment where like a bunch of people undress, but they undress their own skin. And it goes into like stop motion, and it's just like, what is that?
Yeah, great stuff.
Like, I like that. That was a big moment. It was like, it was so odd, and it was making points about all of these things, but I think they just felt like, oh yeah, here's another thing that I want to address. I think it was overstuffed with ideas in a way that like don't really like, because it sets up this world, I think, not that well. You get an understanding because it's a very simple world where like you got the supply, which I believe was China, right? Where they get the stuff from. Then you got the stores that are like monochromatic, like in one color per store, and you got this designer who has everything, and these boosters who steal stuff and then sell it, but then also want to be like, Keke Palmer wants to be seen by Demi Moore as someone who can also design. So like that, I think that whole thing didn't work for me at all. Yeah, and then like her thing, also a little bit of a love story there too with Lakeith Stanfield, potentially, like not really, but like I don't even remember.
His character, if his character was out of the movie, I would have given him the highest score.
Really? Well, you know what I did like was two performances. One by Don Cheadle, which was like so crazy.
His
that, like,
voice?
Yeah. He does like something crazy there with being that like pyramid scheme guy. Also like cult thing. And then I think Will Poulter also works for me quite well. And just like being the store guy who's like very over the top. I think like he was a nice contrast, sort of in sort of tone as well. And like just being a character that plays one note, and that one note worked. And the same goes for Don Cheadle, who played like this one note, and this one note really worked. With Isa Gonzalez, I did struggle a bit more with like the two notes that she plays. First, like, the worker who's sort of unhappy, and then the one who's like all in and being really really smart about like how this all works. Like, I don't know, it's just a very odd movie that I think lost itself a bit too much in like how weird it is, more than it was all the stuff that it was saying. Not the stuff that it was trying to say. I think it very loudly is saying stuff.
I really don't have anything else to say about this film, man.
Do we see, like, I think the production design, especially the costume stuff, is very fun. And Boots Riley has been going around with that huge
hat. It's very typical of him.
Yeah. Do you think, like, I don't think so, but do you think this has any shot of like getting shortlisted for an I don't think it gets nominated, but shortlisted for like an Academy Award?
Sure. I mean, the thing with Oscars is, the movies themselves oftentimes have to be more good than bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, also this year we have like 2 locks for Dune and The Odyssey, like 2 slots that are weighted at PA dramas that already done, and like that we maybe wouldn't have otherwise. So I think there's less slots available. I think in other years this would have a better choice, but
you know what? This makes huge amount of sense. Costume design of Everything Everywhere All at Once. You know what? That makes sense. There's naturally also similarities with Everything Everywhere All at Once and I Love Boosters, so it makes sense.
Yeah. Well, we can't really recommend it unless you really like the style of Boots Riley. And we both gave it like a 5 out of 10.
Like, this movie was so confusing. Like, it sort of like, hit me hard and soft at times.
Sure. We'll go down.
Captured during Billie Eilish's sold-out world tour, a concert experience from one of the most celebrated and successful artists of her generation, presented in immersive 3D. We didn't really watch it in 3D though, because we watched it on VOD, but does it lessen the experience of this concert film, Ewan?
Why is this in 3D? It cuts way too much for the 3D to be sort of relevant. It really can't linger on a moment. Second, man, this show looks like a ton of fun. I probably wouldn't be, down in the stands with a bunch of the teen girlies crying and jumping around and everyone filming, which was something that both of us were bothered by, the amount of phones that were like out there.
Dude.
I think, who's the artist who like says, I forget who it is, but someone says like, put all of your phones down.
You do have
I recently saw it. I forget
No.
which what artist.
No, well, you do have Bob Dylan. Like, if you go to a Bob Dylan concert, you have to give your phone off, and you can only go to a designated area to pick up your phone again. Like, his concerts, for example, are like cell phone free. But I don't know, maybe Coldplay. I see Coldplay doing something.
I thought it was like a younger artist, not someone like Bob Dylan. But I forget who it was. Anyways, a lot of that stuff in here where everyone is filming moments. But this world tour seemed to have been a ton of fun to experience yourself. I think it has a spectacle where Billie talks a lot about wanting to be like inspired by rap artists who are these like usually one man and one woman shows on stage, or basically mostly one man shows, and she wanted to do the same in a different genre in like her music, but also as a woman. Like, I think the sort of interviews that it does, like a performance goes back to like a short interview that she does with Cameron, back and forth, that aren't that insightful, honestly, because I think these two people, it's interesting the pairing that they do here for a concept movie by James Cameron, like co-directed. It's not that he solely directs this, because he also like very much said that like it should be more her movie than his. The interest for this film just wasn't there. Like, it really flopped at the box office. I think it made like less than 30 million, and it cost like 50
certainly
to
is no
make.
Eras tour in that regard. Yeah,
exactly. Like, that moment wasn't there for Billie, which is interesting because her fan base isn't like one, because there are these artists that maybe more the songs connect to the people than the actual artist. And I think Billie is someone where, no, they do connect with Billie as well. Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that it didn't really land. I don't know what the disconnect is specifically for this one. But I really enjoyed the renditions of the songs that she was doing. I think the editing wasn't that great. I think it really should have, for a concept movie, it doesn't hurt to sort of just like stay in moments. Like, I watched the Eras tour movie. I watched the Olivia Rodrigo Guts tour, and I don't really like the music from Taylor Swift. I very much love the music from Olivia Rodrigo, and the latest album has been incredible. I've been listening to those songs like a lot. I think they're amazing. And with Billie Eilish, it's a bit more like usually the hits and maybe a couple more that I sort of resonate with. And she played songs from her latest album, which had a ton of hits on there as well, but also some, the classics, like she played Ocean Eyes and all of that. And I think that was nice to see her perform live, and her energy on stage. And that's sort of all you want from a concert movie, to capture the experience of, maybe, you go for what it was like for the artist, or you go for what it was like to be attending. And I think it sort of does more, it wants to do more of the artist side, with like the cutting back to her, like as she comes back up after the first song. I think the editing in here is really what's hurting it, because it sort of doesn't have the momentum of capturing the whole show, because it wants to give you a bit of context and interviews in between with her that I think were like interesting maybe for James Cameron or people who don't know her. But if you already know her, I think the things she's talked about is very apparent in like anything she does. But I mean, it's so nice to be said. Like when she talks about the way that she dresses and like insecurities and stuff like that, I really like that. But overall, I think it is more of a slight film that wants to be a bit more than a concert film. And I think for this, the 3D was just a gimmick. Like, really, there's no point in it being in 3D.
I'll be honest. I only know maybe 3 Billie Eilish songs before watching this movie. It's like
Name him.
the James Bond one, the bad guy song, cause that shit was everywhere,
Duh.
and her fucking Barbie song.
What was I made for?
Yeah, those are the 3 songs I knew of Billie Eilish. That's it. To quickly talk about the stuff in between the concert, I like the stuff that talks about the creation of the concert. I found it so funny to see her notes, for example, and it's just like floor screen bad. No, like that very fake stuff. It's like, oh, really? This is quite a interesting thing. And also, like, Charles, he talks about creating certain senses. It's like, oh, interesting to see. Like, that's what you want the audience to get. Really liked all that stuff. Then you have she does talk about, how she wants to be perceived as a female rapper and the female empowerment stuff, and that's great. It is quite a momentum killer in the concert itself, though, I must admit. Biggest noise I had, and that was even before I watched the movie, because I knew it would happen already, because they played the trailer for this in the theater, and it's like, oh, this is my first, concert without my brother, and etc. And then he pops up, and it's like, hey, it's for the film, concert film, like, hey, I get it. He joins for one song, and then he'll go back, right? No, he joins for 3, and it's like, come on, man, this is a little bit too much. And then I hate the fans, man. There's a certain annoyance. I must admit, I'm a boomer in that regard. Like, I do have a certain annoyance with the fandom of artists like these, and the one that I am especially annoyed with are K-pop fans. Like BTS in the past, whenever I see shit online, like I had a few friends like back in university that were like K-pop fans, and it's like they went to those concerts, and brother, all you hear is screaming. Like screaming. I cannot even hear the fucking lyrics. I cannot even hear the goddamn music. With this one, it's a little bit more lighthearted in the terms of it's very much more of a sing-along than a fucking scream fest. But then you have, for example, she's standing on that little stage that they built of the stage, right, where she can sit and where she can be with fans. And there was like one fan, right, that was doing like this, like, and all of a sudden she goes, and I'm like, are you fucking serious, dude?
Huh?
Like, this just feels so performative to the point that I'm like, I don't know if you're actually enjoying this.
I was more bothered by the presence of the phones, because it inherently, I think, sort of creates that connection where you are a fan, you are loud because it's your hand that's out there, or like the moment you share with them. And it's like the parasocialness, I think, is weirdly warped through the digital like availability of these artists. And I also am a bit like, when I think it's like right on the line of like, people sometimes, these disconnected people who are far away and then they're in front of you, but they communicate in a way of like the broad, like, I love you all, I accept you all. And that's sort of what she represents for the fans as well, like everyone, gender, sexuality, and you accept it, and you are welcome here, and you can feel comfortable. And I think creating that space is then like, that's one thing, but then also the personal thing, I love you directly, is like this misconstrued mess that I think we haven't figured out, and I don't know if you ever will, in like this digital social media age. I think it's like, I mean, fandoms were around where people screamed and everything, but they felt a bit more disconnected, where like, oh my god, someone's this close to me, like, and then they just like were overcome, and like, people pass out at Beatle concerts and shit like that all the time. There's something is slightly different how it feels here, but I didn't mind it. I think it was like a lot of teen girls were trying to figure themselves.
Yeah, but there was one individual though. I was like, this is such a fucking dangerous message, and it's like, he's saying like, yeah, like my parents' therapy didn't help at all. Like nothing helped except the music. It's like, I don't know, bro, that's such a fucking dangerous message to put in a concert film for like kids to watch. And like we said with Power Ballad, it's the songs of like the creating of these artists that have to be like, we have to create song that appeals to kids, but also
Yeah.
are a song that approve, like that have the approval of parents. And some of these songs that I'm singing here, some of them sounded very much the same, but I get it. An artist has a certain tone, has a certain rhythm, so some of the songs will be the same. That's totally fine for me. But then again, some of these lyrics sound so vague to me as well. And the message sometimes is a little bit like, for example, like she has with Charlie XCX, like just a certain
Yeah.
moment, like I would like eat her out or
Yes.
something. It's like,
Yeah, that was just a song they did together on Charlie's album,
okay,
on the latest one.
yeah.
I don't think, dude. I think that's a bad take. I think you don't have to like sort of have a sort of coherent message and tone and peachiness about like or
Well, no,
everything
but
sounding.
that
But
that
it's an
certain message
outstanding
though.
song. It's a very different song. It's not her album. It's on a different
Uh,
album. So that's why it has a bit of a disconnect,
but
I guess,
I
from the rest
guess
of her
it's
music.
also because she was going to a different side of the room, so that's why it had that connective tissue of, she has to play something that isn't hers, that she cannot sing during the transferring of the thing.
Oh yeah.
I just gotta say, at the concert film, at the music film, it wasn't that appealing. Like, for
No.
example, I gotta give it to Elvis Presley in concert, for example. I still think that's the best music film of this year. And compared to films of the past, Stop Making Sense is still the best concert film I've ever seen. This much I know to be true of Nick Cave. We have the Ryuichi Sakamoto Opus film that we have both praised. Turnstile Never Enough of last year was wonderful. You have Hans Zimmer live in Prague. Eno Squaring the Circle. There are a lot of different music films that I feel like are more interesting than this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's also about like, do you like the music or not? And I think you're someone who likes the music less. So I think the renditions of her songs are great.
I was never bored. I was never bored, but like just some of the things I was like, now it feels a little bit stale. I did have that feeling, but I was never bored.
Yeah.
That's why I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, and I give it even like I had a 7 out of 10. I think if I'm being honest, it's more 6.5 out of 10 to me because I think the filmmaking behind it is really quite weak. But I think capturing the performance, and it's like hard to make a rating here that like what do you judge? Do you judge the filming and the making of the documentary, those bits, or is it also the tour and the presentation of that? Because I think that was amazing. I really liked it. So yeah, a bit of a difficult
Or are
thing
we
to figure out.
are we rating it on James Cameron film?
Yeah, are we rating it in its 3D-ness, which we didn't even see, so we can't even like. But it's the first James Cameron flop, at least box office wise, right? The first movie that made like less than 100 million.
But I love how he had done the disclaimer himself with like, it's directed by Billie Eilish with James Cameron. So like, I love how he himself in the film is like, I'm not like responsible for this.
But that's our thoughts. I think it is definitely one for the fans, but also it does sort of expand like if you aren't familiar with her music as much. Like the albums, you've heard the songs, some of the songs, like just by existing as a human. Yeah, then it might be interesting. Sometimes.
Let's go to the next film. When a lovesick musician is given the wrong number for his dream girl, he teams up with a driven psychology student to find her. Together, they spark a hilarious campus-wide frenzy that tests their own hearts and ambitions along the way. This film, starring Spike Fern, Angry Rice, Minnie Driver. Angry Rice, I feel like, is an actress. I was like, how long has she been in the game? Because, I saw her first back. I think we all saw her back in The Nice Guys. And I was like, how old was she? 15 in that movie. Oh, wow. So she has been in the game for very much a long time. She's now 25 years old. Also, one of the reasons was like, yeah, she can still play somebody in university. And I was like, yeah, she's 25. That's still totally doable. But this was very much a movie that popped up last minute on our radar and for this episode. So, Ewan, give me your thoughts on this one.
We need more movies like this. I want more rom-coms. I want more. They've died in the mid-2000s, and I feel like they're having a slight resurgence right now. We need more of them in theaters. We need more of them that are actually not dog shit on streaming. I love this stuff. Two people connecting is the spark, the magic. There's movie magic of like making something work, the camera moves, and the story being told. But two people falling in love is just as magical. And I really like it. You can do it in all sorts of different ways, all sorts of different positions. have fun with it. But I really enjoyed this because I liked it tonally. And the director, Alicia McDonald, did do a show on Netflix, Too Much, which was very much in the styles of like girls, I think. That was
Mm-hmm.
like big for I'm blanking on a name right now, but Lena Dunham, very much inspired by that. Like she's also a like director on this, co-creator of it, with Megan Stalter and Will Sharpe in the lead roles, that I had to turn off after a couple of episodes because I found it so incredibly annoying. Here, it's something that really worked for me, and it was like similar to, we had another director who had like in the same week she had two movies coming out, or like a week apart. One of them was that one, another like also a Netflix film that I really didn't like, and she had one out in theaters or on VOD that I really liked. So like there's the interesting pairing of these sort of movies where maybe one of them works, one of them doesn't. And I think here the premise of a guy who's like initially seen as this naive guy we look at, it's like, what are you doing? You're being way too intense. And I think he's like also playing some. I wasn't sure if he's like playing someone who's slightly maybe a bit on the spectrum. Like the way that he sort of, not obviously not. It's not an insult in any sort of way, but like the way that he's sort of over, like, I don't know. But and then I'm really enjoying the university comedy type thing. Like I really enjoyed it in the show that Steve Carell was in, Rooster, where it was more about the teachers, like the professors and the students. But I'm also really enjoying it there because I think a lot of the rom com coming of age stuff in high school is like, I think it's been overdone and we don't really need that stuff anymore. I think the mid-20s is maybe also because it is like, catering a bit more towards me. But like the university thing is also very exciting because you have people who have a bit more of opinions. You also have people who are way further down the line of like how you can characterize them and just make them a hyperbole of something. This movie stays lighthearted, but does have a heart to itself. I think it runs the expected beats of a rom com, but it is very charming the whole way through. Yeah, I really liked Spike Fern's performance, Angry Rice, and I also really liked the brother and his partner. And I think a lot of these movies get, especially those characters, right.
Those secondary, third
Those
characters, yeah.
those are the ones that make a movie like this work. Because more often than not, the central thing of like two people falling in love that have chemistry with each other, although these two I think don't have that much chemistry. I think Spider-Man is just like, he just has a lot of energy. It's just like it's rubbing off on other people. I also like the extended cast of Emily's, like that bit of them coming together again and again. It's just an interesting premise, a guy who emails literally like every Emily in the thing. I also was kind of surprised by how many people in the Emily cast I had seen in other things. Like this one random one, the one who's actually the fairy Emily. I just watched that show that I said is the worst show that I've seen this year. Every year after, I think she was decent in it, but she like I get why he's like completely in love with her after one night. So that was kind of sweet. I think the actress's name is something like Sadie Savero, and I did like to see a Taskmaster competitive Phil Wang in it in a small role too. But I've been talking for a while, Kevin. What you're not the rom com guy, so I felt like I gotta get the
Oh,
praise out here.
if
Before maybe you like it, you don't like it. What did you think?
if I had 2 pennies for a UK film that starts out in a club dance sequence like scene, I would have two this year already with I See Buildings Fall Like Lightning and this one. Both starting out with a dance sequence in a club, and you just instantly knowing a certain guy with Spike Fern, you instantly know what type of character he is. A very relatable character that is as well, especially for me. Yeah, and Angry Rice, I feel like she's been killing it in the game as well. For example, with Honor Society, I feel like that's another very underwatched film that I really liked. And yeah,
Yeah,
she's been killing it. And Spike Fern is really the breakout role for me in this character. At times, I was like, this, Rye Lane, for example, was also like a very breakout role for David Johnson. And I feel like Finding Emily is right in that catalog, alongside, something like I See Building Fall Like Lightning, Ryan Lane, etc.
I mean,
And
yeah.
just just very quickly, wanted to see what Spike Fern, because this really feels like the episode of the young actors that have big shit coming. Ivana Rose Liu, Lee Woodall, even Samara Weaving and Kyle Garner are still, young actors by nature. And Spike Fern, my God, what this actor has going up. David Yates with Renee Zellweger and I think that one. Oh yeah, Four Kids Walk into a Bank, as well with Liam Neeson. Then we have he's starring in the next Gavin O'Connor film called Running. A homeless high school running prodigy hunts for greatness as he uses his gift to outrun his past and find the family.
And he's the lead.
And he's the lead, and it's a Gavin O'Connor sports film. Yo, hey, yo, I don't know when this comes out, but it's just rose to the top, bro.
you'll be running to the theater, yeah. No, I think what he is coming up like so far. This is his first lead role, right? So the David Johnson-ness of Rye Lane. This is his breakout, and I agree. I'm looking forward to what he does next.
I was also quite surprised with the swings that this film made, because at a certain moment he goes on a podcast, and that sort of felt, how like with the structure of a rom-com, that sort of feels to me like a the second to third act denouement. I was like, oh shit, this is the midpoint of the film. There's still an hour left. Oh wow, okay, we're really diving into the deep in here instead of really staying shallow, and that's also what I really appreciated of Finding Emily.
No, there's a couple of things. Like he also has that trauma that we later find out, so I'm not going to spoil what it is, but it's something that lingers with him, and it made more sense to me that maybe he is a bit more off his path and acts a bit more erratic and more like just heightened whatever he was like before, that he's sort of trying to find meaning. But I think that character is loose enough where it doesn't feel like it's some sort of inherent sadness of it all. Like I think he's like, the characterization of that guy is not that deep. I think he's just like trying, like very young, just wants to be in a relationship and wants to be happy. And it's not like there's not a character study in here, and but it opens itself in a way where like it could go deeper, and it doesn't really. And I think one thing that I really dislike about a lot of American movies, and I think just being with a UK cast, maybe that's part why it's subverted, is like two things, right? Character dancing at the end to express some sort of thing. Immediate, like I knew it.
I knew it.
And
when watching that scene, I was like, Ewan's gonna hate it. And
did they end it on that?
No.
Oh no. The scenes that no, it's just the ending. I don't like. I don't hate it because there's two moments. I think the moment with him and his family works more than the one with angry, like with Emily. Which Emily am I talking about? And it doesn't end on that, but it has to have the typical thing of like a public declaration of something to sort of make something good. Like, if you do something in public and sort of there's the embarrassment with it, there's a you gotta hear this to someone who doesn't want to listen to you, so you do it in the most public way possible. I really think that's an American thing, and I don't know if it comes from like something like Carrie or something like that. I don't know where it comes from, but it happens in so many mid-ass movies, and a lot of time also in rom-coms. And it's my least liked trope when they have the public declaration of love. And I love how they subvert it here, where this is okay. Maybe next 30 seconds on this, and if you don't want to be spoiled, but go see the film. But when she does that at the end, she walks out and she's still mic'd up. I think that is subverting it enough where it's not about the audience. It is about them again. And I think a lot of moments, like, they get that wrong, that inherently it's not about the spectacle of two people coming together, but it is about like them finding that they like each other, that they love each other potentially even. And I think it takes it away when it's all about like the audience experience it alongside us. And I also love the guy who keeps saying, wait, why do we care? Why is this news? Why? And I was like, wait, the second time I was like, this is still going on? I was like, what the fuck? Thanks to me.
I just loved also the sort of discourse around this topic, because some people are like, he's a total creep, this is so weird, and some people are like, and
outside of his control, outside of his actions,
it's
right?
outside of his control, and he's doing stuff that wins them over, and he's doing stuff that like it's just putting him in a bad light. And I admittedly at times I was also thinking of like, this becomes so big, it's like will it even work? And it sort of reminded me of that chicken shop date between Amelia de Moldenberg and Andrew Garfield, because even in that date, he says like, without all of this, would we even have a chance? Would we even have a chance? And it's like, oh, that type of theme and topic is present in Finding Emily, and is a debate that I find really intriguing. So yeah, Finding Emily, go check it out, people. I gave it an 8 out of 10.
There's a couple of things that I would love to talk about even in spoilers, but I already did like my one spoiler. But there's a lot of moments that are quite interesting here, the choices that they make, and then it has the tropes of like there's a lie that sort of is about to come out at one point in the film. So it's that like it has the expected dramatic beats of a rom-com that I think it sort of doesn't subvert all the time, but it doesn't construct a whole movie around it. There's still a lot of like, the skeleton is there, but it feels like there's enough connecting bones that like, if they don't land or are too expected, the whole thing doesn't come crashing down. And I think that's why this movie works more than it doesn't. And I also gave it 4 out of 5 and 8 out of 10.
Can I also say it's so funny for these UK scenes to not be in London anymore. Like, I see buildings fall like lightning, Birmingham, now Finding Emily, Manchester, and like a lot of people in like the reviews that are out there are like, Manchester finally represented in a good light. Thank you.
I mean, his action is crazy. I was like, hold up, sometimes I need subtitles for this. Like, what the fuck is mate saying? Like,
it's quite funny that they also reference to him as a Gallagher lookalike.
Yeah, and I did see, when I saw this movie coming out, I did see Angry Rice, and I didn't look, like, I was so surprised. I was like, oh yeah, Spike Fern is going to be British. And I was like, oh, I didn't expect, I thought it was an American thing. I was like, oh, that's the movie we went. Everyone's British. Pleasant surprise, though. All right, we're going to speed run through this next review because we're talking about Citizen Vigilante, a racist, Nazi, white supremacist. Give it all the labels that I guess we can currently talk about with sort of the right. It's anti-immigrant, is it anti-Semitic? No, it's probably not. Just anti-Muslim, certain
anti-everything.
It's anti-everything, but it's not anti-Armie Hammer, who's making the return in Uwe Boll's Citizen Vigilante, about a man who takes justice into his own hands, hunting down criminals. They're not criminals. Or the criminals in the way that like the most criminal behavior is that they are criminals because they are of a certain belief or whatever, or they're teenage kids, and then you got to meet them up. His vigilante crusade makes him a social media star, does it? And puts him at odds with a local police chief who's working for Interpol. So I don't know if he's a local police chief because he's literally an Interpol agent. So that's the antithesis of local. So that's fun. This is a half-star movie. It's horrible. It's horrific. It's bad. But also the reason why we watch this is because for the first, I'd say like hour or so, it is such an incoherent mess that is like, I told you, War of the Worlds looks like a decent movie next to it. It is so fucking bad. But it's also hilarious because it feels like, is this a parody? And like how bad it is like depicting these types of movies. And then it just goes full hate crime mode. And I was like, nope, this was not fun. I fucking hate what this stands for. And I don't know why the fuck it exists. Because it's like, who is this movie even for? Apart from like fucking literal Nazis. Like, who is this movie for? But yeah, what did you think, Kevin?
Yeah, this movie is fucking trash. And with Uwe Boll, the guy has a certain reputation that he is not making anything good.
Yeah.
And he's known more as an action director. Like he infamously made the bad Far Cry film, and he has very extremist opinions. But this your first Uwe Boll film? Because it was my first Boll film. I really avoid his film by any means, but with Citizen Vigilante, it's an interesting thing because it's the return of Armie Hammer. And
exactly.
It's like, what does this even look like? And then we watched it, and it's like, okay, so we're never watching shit like this ever again. But I'm glad I did for this one, just to have seen it once, and that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie is atrocious, and at times it is funny. Like the beginning is just funny. Like
it is funny. Like the editing is so funny because it's like it cuts back to him like doing lifting weights into like
the
different
thing,
things.
and I'm like, why are
The
we
sound
putting
mix is
thing?
off for like the news.
Even I knew the sound mix is off. That's when you know the sound mix is really off. Just saying.
Yeah, it's just like was tonally all over the place and was so self-serious, and it felt like almost a joke how drastic it was about like this characterization that was immediately incredibly cringe, and then it just sort of continues and
And then
reveals
the
its true
funny
colors
factor,
more and more. Yeah, it like
Those-
it ultimately is about every immigrant is a criminal, is a rapist, is apologizing or like justifying the actions because everyone stands for it, even the ones who didn't do it, and it like ends with basically killing a bunch of like Muslim immigrants as he's just in the room mowing them down. And it's like it like that is it's so out of, like the whole movie is like so out of nowhere, so that it's not really justification, but like the hatefulness of this is like it's so appalling, it is so disgusting, that it really soured just my enjoyment of the film, of like how ridiculous and bad it was. By the end of it.
And that's the killing of the Muslim family isn't even the worst part of it. It's like what comes after it. I thought was as mind-boggling as well. Let me just quickly
because he says like I think call everyone. He doesn't even say other people who were part of the rape, but he calls I think other people in his phone. I think that's what he says.
The film ends with this film is dedicated to the thousands of rape and murder victims in Europe who were betrayed by our legal system. And it's like,
yeah, it's like the thing of like, hey, rapists and criminals, right? We have a problem because they're immigrants, and that's who's doing these crimes, which is it's just not statistically, it's just not correct in any country anywhere. It's just false, and it's an easy narrative to go down. And this movie is sort of the embodiment of like, how about we have someone who can fix this by just murdering them all? It's disgusting.
Also, the fucking huge, the way the movie opens with just Europe. I thought we were joking,
so
bro.
Funny. It was so funny. That's so funny. It's just Europe, because it's like the problem is everywhere sort of type deal, right? Because it's also like they speak all in English, so there's no.
And the news channel that is reporting on this is called World News. It's like, this is so shit.
Yeah, it's
anyway,
so shit, yeah.
I don't even want to talk about it more, but you did want to talk about an interesting talking point that is with cancelled movie stars, because this is a return of Armie Hammer. We have a return of Jonathan Majors coming soon. Kevin Spacey, apparently. I don't know.
Well, he had movies that he's done since. I watched one of them. Forget what the fuck it was called. Like I don't even care to look it up, because who the fuck cares what Kevin Spacey has been up to?
Yeah.
It's a really bad movie. I watched it, but it's like one where I think he's like, it's some voiceover thing. The whole I don't know. It's just a bad.
How much better is it than this one?
Not much. I think that movie was horrible too. But yeah, I mean, this is probably. I think this is up there for one of the worst films I've ever seen. Like this, Citizen Vigilante, and I wonder, like, it's the only place to go after being canceled to be a right-wing mouthpiece, because I don't know if these people, like, specifically, like, carry these values.
It's with Gina Carano as well. We should mention her as well. Gina Carano, yeah.
True, but I think her thing was more. I think her was more like anti-COVID thing, or what was her thing?
Anti-COVID thing, but also like just extremist thing, yeah.
Yeah, and with Armie Hammer, it's very much just like the fucking, I don't know, the weirdness of it all. Yeah, but I think what was the criminal, like with Jonathan Majors, there's literally like a criminal case against him, right?
Yeah.
And here, this the movie that just got a trailer as well as a Run, Hide, Fight, Infidels, which reads, when radical Islamic terrorists hijacked a liberal college pro-Palestine encampment to enforce barbaric Sharia law on students and executive infidels in a makeshift caliphate, a ragtag band of red-blooded students, a security guard tired of Uncle Tom smears, and a Delta Force that must arm up to save their clueless peers and keep America from surrendering to the enemy on its own soil. So, yeah, fuck you for that, and fuck you. That's all I gotta say. Like, come on, man. And like, what I wanted to say with this is like, it seemingly is only the right who's embracing these canceled people just for the reason that they're being canceled. And I think it's rallying around badness. It's just, and that's like sort of their core. And I think that's inherently like why it's so apparent that like it's breeding the extreme side of it so much more. And I think there is a balance of like right and left wing that isn't like going to the extreme. And I think the right has just like this maybe the center right thing, and then they've just sort of split, and it's just been such a huge base of just this very extreme right side behavior that is also given so much money and power through that. It's a bit disappointing because Jonathan Majors was a great actor. I don't think he's going to be a great actor going forward because he's acting in shit stuff and he's going to be shit in it. And yeah,
well, he might be good in it, but you know.
Yeah, but if the movie should like
Armie Hammer isn't good in this one.
No, but he could have been good, but the movie still would have been shit. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, I'm not holding my breath for any of these people to have like decent roles in the future. Anyways, those are our thoughts on Citizen Vigilante. Don't go see it. Just know that it's shit. Don't support it. If you are so curious to just like look up certain scenes of it, if you're morbidly curious, then please pirate it. Don't spend money on this piece of shit. Like, you got the okay from, okay? You got the okay from the two of us.
Let me quickly do my physical media corner. Some stuff arrived. If I do it next week, there's just way too much. We got Bugsy Malone with young Jodie Foster. We got Moonlighting with Jeremy Irons. We have The Reunion. So this is a movie I didn't know about. A film by Anna Odell. We got Philomena. We got another Judi Dench film, Belfast, where she stars in it. And then those films have recently arrived. We have Bring Her Back. Let's go. Very hyped for that. We got Babette's Feast. We have The Love Witch. And we have Exotica. Yeah. So those are my physical media corner. I don't know if you know any of those movies besides the obvious ones.
Some of them no, I didn't know actually. Yeah, I continued my journey through the James Bond books. I believe I've listened to the audiobooks for Dr. No and Goldfinger. I've already watched those movies, and usually I'm just limiting myself to 2 movies a week from sort of the James Bond franchise. And I did watch Thunderball, and You Only Live Twice. 2 more Sean Connery James Bond films. Right around the time, I believe, when just before Ian Fleming actually passed away. And I think I haven't read a lot about the history, which I'll do like when I get closer to finishing it all. I'm really interested to having a look at all of this, but the influences and like the different takes on it. Because in addition to those 2 films, I also watched On Her Majesty's Secret Service and Diamonds Are Forever. And On Her Majesty's Secret Service is the one movie where George Lazenby is actually playing James Bond, and an Aussie playing him. And I think that one was the best out of this, like sort of going through it chronologically, the best one so far. It's one of the longer ones. It's like 2 hours and 20 minutes, when the ones with Sean Connery are like all about him being very easy with women. You know, he always gets them. And this one is like very much commenting and subverting that with trying to maybe be a little bit less like that, but still ends up being very much about like the James Bondness. I think On Her Majesty's Secret Service has so many incredible action set pieces that don't just, you know, sort of make the spectacle out of like this awkward, slow ass, like big swing fighting that they usually do. They still have, I think, a couple of moments in there, but like they literally have a sequence where they chase each other with a bobsled and they shoot each other, and it also ends pretty dark. So this one is one of the best like Bond films, and I see some people who absolutely love that one. And then also the storyline, I didn't notice with Blofeld, with like Spectre and all, like those storylines actually only span from 3 books in the series. There's 4 books, and then 3 of them are about it, and in one of them he's also mentioned. And it starts out with Thunderball. I think it goes to You Only Live Twice and On Her Majesty's Secret Service. But then Sean Connery comes back, or they're not done with him yet. I know he has like another one later when we are like in the Roger Moore era already of James Bond, I believe. But in Diamonds Are Forever, which doesn't include Blofeld in that original story, it weaves him. Well, weaves him in sort of sounds a bit more like it actually like makes sense that he's in there, but it forces him into the story when it wasn't really about that. And to end that sort of story for the Connery Bond in a way, and it was a bit messy. It's one of the lesser Bond films, I'd say, but there's a ton of money behind these. Like the action, like the production line especially is like so big in these, that yeah, there's still like a bunch of them that like I've read but haven't been adapted yet because they didn't start with like Casino Royale, because they started with Doctor No, which was like the sixth book in the series, and they sort of jumped around. Like I think I am about to, like, after Goldfinger now, You Only Live Twice is I think the one that's coming next. So the whole saga, and Thunderball, like the whole saga of Blofeld hasn't even started yet in the books that I've read. So I'm interested to see because how that influence comes, because like for a lot of it was teased with like, for me I didn't understand how much of Austin Powers is just directly taking from Thunderball and You Only Live Twice and like those types of movies, but it is like it's so close to it, and I can see the comedy that was referenced there, and it felt really original for me, like experiencing as a teen kid, like in Austin Powers, and here I can see the direct callbacks that it actually makes. It's quite interesting, and it's been fun to have a look at this James Bond series, who is really like, the way that they describe it on the book app that I log it on is like, you have to think of like, is it a mix of plot, character, or a mix of both? And all of the James Bond films are like not character, they're just plot, and they don't have like complex characters or any sort of progression, or like it's just very much the same all the time, and that's sort of fine for what it is. But I've been enjoying it. I'll probably finish it before the fall with all of the books. I'm halfway through the book series by Ian Fleming. There's 14 of them, and I've just finished the 7th one. And yeah, I'll continue doing that and keep you posted on more of my thoughts on Bond. Then The Bear also ended. It did have that sort of mid-season thing between season 4 and 5 with Gary that just sort of dropped out of nowhere to give an episode to basically have two characters, go on a road trip to contextualize what Richie's character is sort of going through, right? And then it is this last season, basically for 7 episodes, it is all about like a one really rushed service, potentially last one where they don't have anything left. They're about to close, and it's very much becoming a handoff from the end of season 4 when Kami was saying he's about to quit. And then this last episode is very much giving everyone a send-off in a way that like felt a bit like rushed at times, but ultimately I think it did resonate more than it did not. I think it's a fine ending season, but The Bear has sort of had its best moments in its past. I think it's still well made, but like some of the characters just like too beloved, if that makes sense, in a way where like there wasn't the actual depth, but we just have grown to love them as characters. And it sort of becomes a very Fast and Furious thing about everything is about family. And I was okay. I didn't mind it, but it also was a bit like the obvious and like easy answer to go through. But it's overall like a sweet series. And then the second season of Avatar: The Last Airbender just released. I got to see it early and before the reactions came out. And I think the show has a couple of hurdles to overcome. First of all, the incredible animated base of it all is one of the best animated shows ever made, and the story really works there, the comedy really works there, and the voice cast is amazing in that. The animation really works. And then here, bringing into live action is always an inherent weirdness to sort of working so much with the effects paired with like inexperienced actors, right? And the Toph character, I think, like the really beloved Earthbender, is fine, but she has a couple of line readings that were really clowned on. I think it's more of the Netflix-esque writing to over-explain certain things. There's a moment where she's like, a new form of bending is really bad. But I really liked the characterization and the sort of when they depart from the main storyline of the animated series to give especially Zuko more depth, more to do, more grounded things. And it is a bit like going back and forth where it still wants to do certain moments with characters that maybe don't feel as natural. So it's not like a great series to track character progression, but I at least like that they tried to go for it, even though it is a bit of a mess in parts. But honestly, yeah, some of these live action Netflix shows like One Piece even though they're not amazing, I really didn't mind that they're not amazing. I still had a great time with it. And I don't know if this makes me like someone who's less critical overall of certain things. If I like some sort of like with One Piece, I haven't seen much of the series, but I've seen the parts that they've adapted. At least for the first season, I've now watched them after the fact, and I've sort of wanted to continue, but I'm not as caught up as the with the events of like that were depicted in the live action show. But I will, and with Avatar, like the movie, unfortunately, leaked that is supposed to come out later this year. This is on a solid track, even though they like have a couple of years in between the series, and now the actor who plays Aang is like shot up and like been just really tall, so they've had to sort of make that work, so it's all fine. And then lastly, I watched the first couple of episodes, first half of Cape Fear, a TV, I believe, mini series, but it doesn't seem to be a mini series. I think they might even continue it into a second season. At least it said so on IMDb. I don't know about that, but it's been adapted from a novel, which is not called Cape Fear, but I'm blanking on it right now what the name is, and then was adapted, I believe, in the 50s or 60s, and then the famous Scorsese adaptation with De Niro, and then we also have this latest series that Scorsese is executively producing, starring Patrick Wilson, Amy Adams, and Javier Bardem as Max Cady. And it is a show that like really is dragging out this concept of this potentially wrongfully imprisoned guy who we know is not wrongfully imprisoned because he's definitely a bad person, but the lawyers also did something wrong to get him there, but maybe the evidence wasn't, so he has this like vendetta against them. And I think this show is probably going to build to whatever the story was in this first season, but it really is like in a way that the show is constructed, putting them in so many situations with each other to like give not really depth, but more plot to all of these things. And I really had a hard time connecting and giving a shit so far because a lot of it is a bit like too over the top for me, too nonsensical and like magical in a way, or like the influences. I don't know. So far, I've not been vibing with that show, even though the talent is definitely on screen. Like, you know, a lot of talented cast members, even the kids. The daughter was in Ghostlight. No, not in Ghostlight. I think she was the one who was in Good One. Really enjoyed, but yeah, Cape Fear so far. I'll let you know what I think about the rest of the season. What's it that's finished in like a month or so, but I'm not blown away by it. But yeah, Kevin had to go early, so you'll see him pop up here. He had to go play a tennis match, so I did these by myself. So that's why he didn't respond to anything, or I wasn't asking him anything. But let's go back in time to actually when we close this episode, and I will see you next week. Which, yeah, no, you'll see me in a second. Cut.
That's it for this week. Next week, we will talking about Supergirl. I will be doing that with a double feature of Minions and Monsters.
Oh, you're right. I forgot you were. I thought you were watching Jackass, but Jackass not coming out anymore in Belgium, unfortunately. But yeah, Supergirl into a different sort of, yellow caped monster. Does she have a yellow cape? This car? I don't remember.
She had the red cape.
We're talking about the Minions. I don't know. There's a press screening for it. I don't know if
Hey! It's apparently good. I've seen some people saying it's good.
Oh my god! Can you smell this? It's dog shit, but it's actually good dog shit. Smell it. Come on, have a smell. Have a taste. You like it.
You like the movie from the director of the Minions. So I'm just saying that there's
Is he
directing
this one? It's not directing this one, right? It's a different director. So
yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what other stuff we'll talk about. We have a bunch of stuff. As always, it's coming out. So we'll see you next week. Go keep on watching movies. Go watch Power Ballad and Finding Emily. Those two.
Also, latest episode of Cinematic Doppelgangers is out. We're talking about two movies called The Way Back, 2010's one of Peter Weir, and the 2020's one starring Ben Affleck and directed by Gavin O'Connor. So go check out that episode, and we'll see you next time.
And cut!